distinguished members of press, valuable colleagues, I would like to cordially greet you all. Turkey-Azerbaijan High-Level Strategic Cooperation Council meeting will be held for the 8th time in Baku today. At the Turkic Council Summit in October, I had a chance to visit Azerbaijan. My dear brother, President, with Mr. President Aliyev on November the 30th, I had a chance to have another meeting, and of course we are in continuous contact with Mr. President and have phone conversations, and during our visit we will have a chance to address many subject matters. The high-level strategic cooperation shows the level of relations we have in between both of our countries. At the council meetings so far, we have made many decisions about Baku and Tbilisi railway and also TANAP project. We have had a chance to materialize those projects, and looking at our trade volume with Azerbaijan in 2019, we can observe an increase of 19%, and the figure now stands at $4.4 billion, but we are still not at a desired level. We aim to increase our bilateral trade volume up to $15 billion, and we will be signing a preferential trade agreement at the Strategic Cooperation Council meeting to be held today. And when we look at the direct investment of our country in Azerbaijan, we see that the figure exceeds $11 billion, and the investments of Azerbaijan in Turkey stands at a figure of $20 billion. And the Turkish business people materialized about 414 projects, which are worth approximately $14 billion, and we will continue to contribute to the construction and many other sectors in Azerbaijan. And in the field of defense, our cooperation is ever becoming stronger, and our bilateral relations, which are based on an understanding that we are two different states but one nation, as Mr. Aliyev stated. I wish that our visit to Azerbaijan will be auspicious for everyone. Now the floor is yours. Mr. President, after your conversation with Putin at the weekend, you said a new roadmap has been drawn. Has there been any changes in the field after that date? What do you expect? Distinguished friends, as you know, Turkey and Russia are in continuous contact regarding Idlib and Libya, and there are events ongoing, incidents unfolding in Idlib and Libya. Of course, we need to immediately solve the matter in Idlib, and I have high-level talks with Mr. Putin personally, and at the same time our Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Chief of Intelligence Agency, and even the Minister of Interior Affairs and the Defense Minister, of course, are in continuous contact. And there is also the Libyan pillar of things, and we, about Libya, have talks with Russia, and as you know, there's this illegal person called Haftar. And other than this illegal operating person, Abu Dhabi administration is present there with the financial support, and unfortunately, Russia has a security team called Wagner, and this is a force of almost 2,500 people. And the financial resource of that, as far as we are concerned, is coming from the Abu Dhabi administration. And of course, from Sudan and from other places of the world, there is support delivered to Haftar. And we, of course, evaluate all these matters with Russia. And on that occasion, of course, from time to time, we have talks with Mr. Putin to see what kind of shortcomings we have as regards our roadmap and have a thorough evaluation. You can see that the Russian regime forces are supported, and also in terms of the air forces there is support. We now have detected that, even though some do deny, and we have a borderline of 911 kilometers. So who will be in such a struggle if not us? We do not only have to be in that struggle, but we are to fight for it. And now we see almost 1 or 2 or even 3 million people coming to our borders. When we have so many people coming to our borders, should we sit our hands tied? We right now even have about 3.5–4 million Syrians living in Turkey, and the Western world is not showing any sort of sensitivity towards that subject. But of course, we take all the humanitarian values into account and make our evaluations accordingly. And I have shared all these details with Mr. Putin in detail, and our colleagues, when they visited Moscow, shared the due details accordingly, and we will continue to remain in contact. Mr. President, you talked with Merkel, Putin, and Macron over the phone this weekend, and there is a possibility of a quadrilateral meeting. Do you have a date set for that? And when is the Russian delegation visiting Turkey? The delegation will be visiting our country tomorrow. About our talks this weekend, I can say with Mr. Macron and Ms. Merkel and with Mr. Putin, we are in continuous contact, but the three are not in terms and full consensus. But we have a plan to meet with Mr. Putin personally on the 5th, and we might need to have a tete-a-tete, a face-to-face conversation with Mr. Putin, maybe, rather than a phone conversation. It doesn't matter if it is in Ankara or Istanbul, we will see. My name is Kıvanç, I'm from Milliyet newspaper. Mr. President, the coronavirus is now almost at our borders, and there are some cases from Iran. We have closed our border gates to Iran, and is it going to be the same for Iraq? And how about the flights from Turkey and to other destinations? Will you be taking further steps in that regard? Distinguished friends, the issues about health cannot be, of course, ignored. And the Ministry of Health is making studies, and we are to put those activities in concrete practice. And what we did for Iran is a result of all these evaluations. Of course, if the virus arrives in our country, it can become very much significant, serious, and we have taken all of our precautions. A team, as you know, coming from China, was taken under quarantine, and we allocated a hospital for their protection specifically, and we need to show the same sensitivity after this point. It doesn't matter if the cases come from Iraq or Iran or some other part of the world, and the other countries are taking the due precautions, and the formula for that is very obvious. We have to take the necessary precautions. It doesn't matter from where the virus might come. It is the Ministry of Health who will show us where the risk is, so we don't have a right to show any sort of hesitation about that subject. Mr. President, you said that we have martyrs in Libya, and the opposition party said that the names of the soldiers, martyrs, haven't been declared, and there are also asking why the Turkish army is in Libya. And the main opposition party also drew attention to an expression you used when you were talking about the martyrs in Libya. You said a few martyrs, and this is what the main opposition party reacted. What would you like to say? Dear friends, Fox should first be reading the newspapers. They should be serious members of media and stop fabricating news, manipulating. And the rhetorics of the opposition party do not concern me. And is it the opposition party who will be judging me? The opposition party should judge itself first. And what do they say? They say you have to go and meet Assad. What kind of an opposition is this? Millions of people are displaced, are forced to leave their countries, and Mr. Kemal is not asking anyone to be held accountable, even though millions of people are being displaced, and then he is trying to give us some ideas. He should spare his ideas for himself. We, distinguished friends, have two martyrs in Libya, and now I share the figure. What is Mr. Kemal doing? From the Syrian National Army, working with our training groups, we have some people. And yes, we have some members of the Syrian National Army. And yes, and Mr. Kemal should also ask, what does Wagner do with Haftar, or the people coming from Sudan or here and there? He should be questioning these. And those people who have been in Libya from the Syrian National Army have some common goals. And the other parties, of course, have their purposes. And our people, our brothers and sisters, the people from the Syrian National Army are with us, and they consider that it's an honor for them, and there is, of course, a spiritual dimension to that. But Mr. Kemal, unfortunately, will not be able to understand what that dimension is. If there's nothing else, I would like to thank you all very much.